What's up, my friends? Paul here with Kali Center. Today, I want to answer a long-winded question. This question has been asked since the dawn of time when it comes to Kali. Hey, why do you stick fighter guys slap your bicep with your left hand? Let's tackle it right now. So, why does the left hand go to the bicep? There's a couple of reasons, actually, so it's not really a one answer question. There's a couple of different answers. The first thing is, I want you to think of, you have the opposing effect that happens in martial arts. Okay, this is the opposing effect. I want you to think of it like this. If you take a look at like a karate guy, a kung fu guy, or a taekwondo guy, in the very beginning, when you're learning your reverse punches, you have one in and one out, right? And you're learning this because you're generating maximum speed and maximum power by having the opposing forces of push and pull, push and pull, push and pull, right? You have two things that are moving with opposite energies. This is the same thing when you're looking at boxing or even the empty hands of Filipino martial arts. When we're up here, we're throwing that jab, yeah, we can train that jab. They have a lot of power behind it, a lot of speed. But when you start putting in combinations, jab cross that 1-2, all of a sudden the jab starts to get faster and you can add in more power. And that's because, once again, you're using that same principle of opposing forces. Just like this is the same thing as your reverse punches. Now, Kali, we have the same thing sometimes. Sometimes this left hand is going to be close, but sometimes it's going to open up. Now, the left hand also has countering abilities as well. So when we look at one of the forms like we have in Seguidas, we have our 1, 2, 3 right there on form 7. You're going to see this action going on with the left hand. Right? 1, 2, 3. And these could be parries. And maybe you're passing the opponent's weapon with your left hand. Okay, so you have these motions that are going on. Counter-offensive motions. So you have the opposing energy to develop more speed, more power in your strikes, which I'm going to come back to that one because you're not actually slapping the bicep with your left hand. Okay, so hold this thought right there. And then number 2 is that sometimes you're going to need to use that left hand as an assistance to your weapon. Maybe you're clearing that weapon of your opponent's strike out of the way, and you're just going to go and immediately hit the opponent. And instead of taking the time to use your weapon and then hit them with your weapon. Right? This depends on where you are in the flow of the fight. If you search my YouTube channel and you start typing in like Kali Center Flow, Kali Center Sparring, all that type of stuff, and you watch our flow videos, you're going to see it sometimes how this left hand comes into play. Going back to number 1, it's actually a misconception that the left hand is slapping the bicep. It's actually the bicep is going to the left hand, and they're meeting at the center because you're getting your left hand from position 2 back to the center, or you're getting your left hand from an open position back to center. And this only happens on those forehand strikes when everything's going back into that closed position. And it's actually the bicep that is coming to the hand, not the hand going to the bicep, okay? I'm not slapping my bicep. It's my bicep coming to my hand because they both intersect at the plexus. They both intersect at the center line. So they're gonna naturally have this collision course. So it doesn't matter any time that you're striking a forehand strike, this is gonna happen. So you see how my left hand's not even moving on these strikes? I can strike a downward diagonal, an upward forehand diagonal, a horizontal, a center line thrust, a forehand thrust, right? I could strike on any of these angles, and you're gonna see how the bicep comes back to the center, tapping the left hand. Now, when you have power behind these strikes, right, it sounds like you hear the slap. So it sounds like you're slapping this left hand to your bicep. I mean, there's probably a little bit of that going on because you got to control the momentum that's being generated, because you don't want to overthrow your strike either. So by having this little collision course, you're able to stop that momentum so you can fire out your next shot coming back around on the backhand. When we strike our backhand strikes though, obviously there is none of that, right? Because the bicep is traveling away. So if it's the left hand slapping the bicep, that means we would have to be chasing the backhand strike, which doesn't happen. So let's go and take a look at even some of the advanced manipulations. When we come into the abanicos, if our left hand is at position 1 here, you're gonna see how, again, that bicep crosses into the center and makes contact to the left hand. Again, there could be multiple applications here. I might be using this hand for something else, and then they're both coming back into the center. That means, right, you have both of these forces making contact, right? They're colliding, so they're gonna make a sound. When two objects collide, right, they make a sound. A little sound, or a little bit maybe bigger sound. Even if I'm coming into the verticals, as I'm coming up, you see how the bicep is coming back up and it's meeting with the left hand. It's not necessarily my hand. I'm not doing this. That doesn't make any sense. So it's coming back right there. So this isn't a very complicated thing, but a lot of people kind of wonder, why is that going on? But this is really what is going on, is that you're just moving around, and the bicep and the left hand, anytime that they come back together in the center line, right, they're gonna collide because you have two things that are coming into the same point in space. So they're gonna collide and, right, they're gonna make a sound. Just remember, the left hand is not chasing, it's not chasing the bicep around, okay? That's not what's going on there. We're just striking and we're meeting back. No matter what strikes we do, right, they're meeting back at the center, and it's actually the bicep that's going to the hand. All right, my friends, I hope that answers this question once and for all. If you ever hear anybody else ask this question ever again, be sure to share this video with them.